Hi everyone, Miles back here again. Today I'm doing another Thomas & Friends Characters Explain video, which is now going to be a Season 2 first character, which is Duck, who was always my favorite Great Western engine. Montague is a pannier tank engine from the Great Western Railway where he worked at Paddington in London as a station pilot. Due to his apparent waddle as he went about, the other engines called him Duck. Montague preferred it, so Duck he was. Several years later, Duck went to work on Sodor. He was station pilot for a while until graduating to running his own branch line along the coast with his best friend Oliver. Duck is very proud of his Great Western heritage. He is number 8 on the Northwestern Railway, a true traditionalist. Duck is sometimes rather strict, stubborn, and skeptical of others. But when push comes to shove, he is very hard-working, smart, and reliable, and he will go out of his way to stick up for the little guy. Duck will be a very interesting character for me to explain. Let's get into many details about him, shall we? Duck first appeared in Season 2 Duck Takes Charge and in Book 11 Percy the Small Engine. He was sold to Sir Topham Hatt, who was in need of a new pilot engine at his big station at Tidmouth. Duck took Percy's place of being the pilot and was relocated to Thomas's branch line back then. Percy showed Duck around and they became good friends. For the next 12 years, Duck was Tidmouth Station's pilot. He got the work done without fuss. He called it the Great Western Way or the Wrong Way.
There are two ways of doing things, Duck told them. The Great Western Way or the Wrong Way.
Duck is very proud of his heritage, like I said. The Great Western Railway was a railway that was very proud of its engines and its brand. Duck is the personification of that. He is the marker of the era when the book started that was in more real-life territory. Duck has ties with a real-life railway because he wears it on his side with bonds to real engines in the world.
Their engine's City of Truro. He was the first to go 100 miles an hour. May I talk to you? He asked shyly. Of course, smiled the famous engine. I see you are one of us.
I knew an engine called King James, remarked Duck, in the old days at Paddington. King James the First, he was.
He never wears it at all in the TV series. Duck exists in the Railway series as a visual reminder to the readers that does take place on real railways. His ties to the Great Western is his greatest and most notable characters in his traits, and it also most fatal as this stick to traditionalism often makes him strict, spoiled, stubborn, and does not want to hear from others.
I try to teach them our ways, said Duck modestly. All ship-shape and Swindon fashion, that's right.
He says one bad things about the GWR.
I remember on the Great Western, that tin pot railway. Tin pot indeed. Let me tell you.
So Duck does not get along with the big engines. Sometimes we saw him with Gordon, Henry, and James. No wonder these engines don't get along with Duck. Duck often fights with the big engines. He calls them out. He got falsely accused by Gordon, James, and Henry that he tells lies about them to the freight cars, which isn't true because Duck does not talk to the freight cars and only says shut up to them if they're causing trouble. So basically, Devious Diesel was the one who told the lies because he had a grudge against Duck because of the freight cars, and Diesel felt jealous of Duck. Duck got friendlier with the big engines as time went on, just like how people in real life, but it got fiery at the beginning. Duck also stands out for the little engines. When he was first introduced, Percy was having hard times, the work was getting heavy for him, and Sir Topham Hatt was getting a bigger engine to help him. He told Gordon and James about it.
Do you know what? Asked Percy. What? Grunted Gordon. Do you know what? Silly, said Gordon crossly. Of course I don't know what, if you don't tell me what is.
James told Percy that if he worked hard and chattered less, the yard would be a sweeter, a better, and a happier place. Duck befriended Percy and helped him pay the big engines out by blocking the shed and turntable, which made Gordon, James, and Henry very angry. He befriended Donald in Season 3 Donald's Duck. He befriended Stepney when he visited the island of Sodor, and the two of them had a very nice adventure together. Duck used to be a pilot at Paddington Station, which was one of the busiest stations in London. He understood how important the shunters were to ensuring all the trains ran on time. He saw some big engines as well and knew how to handle them. Duck is a city boy. Duck has the most noteworthy relationship with Diesel. In Duck and the Diesel Engine, Sir Topham Hatt decided to trial Diesel on Sodor and brings Diesel to the yard. He had Duck show him around, which leads to disaster. The Duck and Diesel story is a good one and is one of the most important arcs of the Railway series. This book is more of a gray area. Diesel is pretestable. Diesel was bad to Duck in the books. Duck is the one that comes through at the end of a story, A Close Shave. Until Duck and the Diesel Engine, he was a pretty likable character. He argued with Gordon about London. He got a superego after meeting City of Truro. That led to playing a prank on Diesel. A Close Shave changed that and showed that when push comes to shove, when he's in a dire situation where lives are at stake, Duck pulls through and is a hero. He had an accident with some freight cars and crashed into a barber shop, but prevented a collision with some passenger train that James was pulling.
But you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a serious accident. You and many others might have been badly hurt.
This is the story that made us like him. Duck is still a flawed character, but he is a character we can root for.
When a few days later he came home shining with new paint, there was a really rousing welcome for Duck, the Great Western Engine.
Duck remains a prominent figure in the books and TV series after A Close Shave until Season 8. As the years go on, several Diesels arrive on the railway and Duck is very unwelcoming to them. If any engine is going to have a prejudice against Diesels, it's Duck. When Boko arrives, Duck is careful with him at first, but then accepts him and they become friends. 10 years go by, and eventually Duck takes part in helping rebuild the branch line up the coast to Arlesborough. Because he did good work as a station pilot, Sir Topham Hatt promoted him. In the Railway series, when the Arlesborough branch reopened for traffic, he relocated Duck to run the line himself with two auto coaches named Alice and Mirabelle, who do not appear in the TV series. In the TV series, he worked at Tidmouth Halt Station. Duck befriended Oliver and his two coaches, Isabel and Dulcie, as well as Donald and Douglas in the book Little Western. Duck and Oliver run the line happily together. In the Railway series, there is something that Duck and Oliver have in common with Thomas. They all have two coaches of their own, which the other characters don't have. Thomas got Annie and Clarabelle for rescuing James. Duck got Alice and Mirabelle, and Oliver got Isabel and Dulcie. I really like this fact that Duck and Oliver have in common with Thomas in the Railway series. Duck is later on interacting with the other characters. Duck and Oliver are from the same railway, and I like that they are best friends, ways confiding in each other about what they're going to do next. They discuss the Scruffy situation. They keep each other informed on what the latest is regarding Bulgy. Duck is very chummy with Donald and Douglas. In Donald's Duck, Donald makes fun of Duck and his crew play a joke on him, and Donald plays a joke on them, and it goes on until Duck calls a truce.
You win, Donald, he said. It'll take a clever engine to get the better of you.
Duck was also friends with the Arlesdale engines, Rex, Mike, and Bert. He had a thing with Bulgy. He had a thing for everyone. He ran out of steam with Thomas one time. Duck stayed consistent during his tenure. He was the series' breakout character. This is going to be a weird comparison, but I kind of align Duck in the series with Cooter Davenport from the Dukes of Hazzard, a character that was meant to be a one-off in an episode from the first season, but was so beloved that they kept bringing him back every season after season until he was a series lead. Duck kept reappearing in the Railway series because there was so much that he became one of our main focus characters. Chris Awdry didn't do much with Duck in his books because there was plenty more for the taking. In Season 3, Duck was in the same place as he was at the end of Awdry's tenure on his branch line with Oliver. The TV show got rid of the character dynamics that Duck had in the books. Percy is the most notable character dynamic. They paired up with each other a lot in Season 3. Percy respects Duck and enjoys working with him. Percy and Duck worked together at the dock several times with the return of Devious Diesel. In All at Sea, Percy is more sensible than Duck. He got mad and told Duck off.
Well, Duck, I'd rather have my wheels on solid ground. Our rails can take us to all the places we could ever wish to see.
Duck was fascinated by the sea. He knows what's out there beyond the horizon line. He is so entranced by it that it actually distracts him from his work. Duck wanted to know what is on the horizon. He wished he was something other than a steam engine. He wouldn't be stuck to his rails and could actually go out and see it.
I wish I could sail to faraway lands, sighed Duck.
Percy is bewildered by this.
Engines can't go sailing, snorted Percy, because engines can't float. Duck still had his dreams.
After Duck helps save a hurt man by getting him to the hospital quickly by rail, he understands the purpose of a steam engine has in the world. At the end of All at Sea, he makes the realization that life's greatest rewards are not seeing what's out there. In Season 6, Scaredy Engines, Duck helped Percy pay Thomas back for all his teasing and left him alone, all alone at the smelters. It worked out very well because Thomas thought a ghost was chasing him because of a ghost whistle. Diesel's plot in the TV series is followed on, while in the Railway series, it isn't. Diesel was sent packing and never returned until the book Thomas and the Evil Diesel. Duck and Diesel do meet again in Season 3, Diesel Does It Again. Duck is shocked when Diesel returns.
What are you doing here? Gasped Duck.
They don't do anything about it, and it's all Diesel's dumbness that becomes his downfall. I think Duck is a main character in Season 3. As the series went on, Duck reappeared a few times. He got a lead role in Season 4 Fish, where he completely dismisses Thomas's advice.
Going fishing? I'd take care if I were you. Why? Huffed Duck.
That was dumb of Duck. After he helped Henry with the Flying Kipper fish train, he crashed into the back of the fish train, and that is what Thomas's advice got him landed in. In Season 5, Duck's appearances started to slow down a little bit. He showed up once in a while, but was never a lead in this season. Season 6 was the last season where we got another Duck-centric episode, and it would be the last time in the season we see him act like Duck. In Season 7, Duck only appeared twice, Oliver the Snow Engine and the Spotless Record, and had no dialogue at all. They thought of something to do with Duck. They used to block the line and for all other characters to bump into.
Duck had stopped at the crossing at the bottom of the hill. Too late. Squashed fruit flew everywhere.
This would be how Duck went out. Duck was completely absent in Seasons 8 to 11, not even a background cameo. They kind of decided that he no longer exists. He did have a cameo in a music video. This shot is Duck's only appearance in all of Seasons 8 to 11. Even in Calling All Engines, Duck was just flat out. He is number 8, and he was dropped out in favor of Emily. Seasons 2 and 3 were the only seasons Duck was active in, and started to nod off after that. Duck started to reappear in Season 12, which was the first season to use CGI elements, and the final ever season to be filmed with model sets. They brought out all the old character props that were forgotten over the years just to use them for the final time. Characters we hadn't seen in years made a return, like Donald and Douglas, Oliver, Toad, Stepney, Murdoch, and of course, Duck. Duck appeared a bunch of times in Season 12, but was never a lead in this season. He was always a supporting character. I am going to discuss Duck's history and basis. Back in 1949, before Duck was a character, Wilbert Awdry had a model train layout he would take to exhibitions. He purchased a pannier tank just in case. It had a defect, which was a malformed wheel that made the engine waddle as it rolled along. Awdry's children christened the engine as Duck, and the name stuck after Awdry swapped the wheels out on it. Duck is a GWR 57XX class pannier tank engine first designed by Charles Collett in 1929 at Swindon Works for the Great Western Railway, built for shunting and manning small stopping trains. This was the most numerous class of engine in Britain. They were also designed for passenger services on branch suburban and shorter mainline journeys where tight curves and space constraints necessitated the need for a powerful, compact, and versatile locomotive. A grand total of 863 of them were built from 1929 to 1950. It spent its life working with the Great Western Railway as a station pilot at Paddington Station in London. These pannier tanks were also employed in colliery work, dockyards, and even on the challenging gradients of the Welsh valleys, where their excellent traction and stability made them indispensable. It later survived into British Railways ownership. In 1922, Charles Collett succeeded George Jackson Churchwood as Chief Mechanical Engineer of the Great Western Railway. GWR's tank engine stock was wearing out. The variety of classes was problematic for maintenance and rostering. A new standard design for zero-size, zero tanks was needed, which resulted in the 57XX class. The other engines say it waddled as it went along, so they called him Duck. Awdry stated in the Island of Sodor book that Duck is number 5741, which would make Duck one of the first batch of the class built in 1929 at the North British Locomotive Works in Glasgow. He would have been built in Scotland. The real 5741 never worked at Paddington Station. The real 5741 worked in Wales for the most of its life and was withdrawn in 1957. By 1955, Duck was carrying the number 5741. Duck arrived on the island of Sodor in BR Black. Sir Topham had allowed Duck to be painted black into his original livery and retained his Great Western number. In his first book, he was illustrated incorrectly. Clarence Dalby, the illustrator, misdrew Duck as a similar Great Western pannier tank, a 64XX class. Not a big difference, but this pannier had flat top tanks and a different cab. Wilbert wanted Duck as a 57XX class, but had the next illustrator, John T. Kenny, draw him as such. The pannier tank design made them ideal engines for almost any job. Water tanks on each side of the boiler gave them a low center of gravity, making them very stable at speed, and the raised tanks above the running board made access much easier for maintenance, which was a maintenance requirement. In addition, their relatively low axle load allowed them to operate on lightly laid tracks, which were larger, more powerful locomotives couldn't be used. Inspiration was drawn from previous designs such as the 2721 class. The pannier tanks were built by various builders across the country. Many of them lasted beyond the end of BR steam. They were sold off to the industrial railways and other uses. 16 of them are preserved and can be found on various heritage railways across the country, such as the Severn Valley Railway, the South Devon Railways, and the National Railway Museum. You might recognize from the 1970 film The Railway Children. Number 5775 was painted in the brown livery of the fictional Great North and South Railway for its appearances in the film. Early Great Western 060 class tank engines were fitted with either saddle tanks wrapped over the boiler or side tanks mounted at the side of the boiler and reaching down to the running platform. The Great Western first fitted pannier tanks mounted on the side of the boiler, but not reaching down to the running platform in 1898. The pannier tank locomotives were also fitted with Belpaire fireboxes. The shape of the Belpaire firebox, a hallmark of the GWR locomotive design, gives a larger surface area, improving heat transfer and steam production, but their rectangular shape makes them difficult to combine with saddle tanks, which I already explained in my Henry video when I discussed Henry's basis. Pannier tanks solve this issue. A further advantage being access for maintenance is also easier on a pannier tank than locomotives fitted with side tanks. Each subclass was tailored to specific operational requirements, but all shared the same basic design principles that made the 57 XX class pannier tank so successful. Pannier tanks had a tractive effort of 22,515 pounds. Their top speed was 60 miles per hour, which, while not particularly fast, was sufficient for their intended roles in shunting and local freight operations. The modest speed was more adequate for the tight curves and limited clearances often encountered in the suburban areas where they mainly operated. They were fitted with a steam brake, vacuum brake, and screw reverser, which greatly facilitated their shunting duties by enabling precise control during complex maneuvering operations. Pannier tanks were also used for passenger trains, showcasing their flexibility while not suitable for long-distance express services. They were more than adequate for short-haul passenger trains and branch line operations. Sometimes the 57 XX pannier tanks were paired with Great Western design auto coaches, which enabled push-pull operations and eliminated the need for the locomotive to be turned around at the end of each journey. After the nationalization of British Railways in 1948, the locomotives became part of British Railways' Western Region fleet. They continued to serve in shunting and local freight operations, maintaining their reputation for reliability and versatility. The pannier tank's robust design and ease of maintenance made them well suited to the post-war years, during which resources were often scarce. I will now talk about Duck in the CGI series. Duck never appeared in the first 4 complete CGI series. The first ever complete CGI episode he reappeared in was Season 17, Henry's Hero.
Oh dear, looks like you two got some of the bad cold that arrived today.
He got a spotlight episode that same season called The Thomas Way, where the narrator gives the newer viewers a brief recap of who he is.
Montague is a little green tank engine, but everyone calls him Duck because the other engines used to say he waddled.
Even a photo of him working at Paddington in the old days, something that the model series never ever did. Considering all the shit we had to sludge through for the past 9 seasons, the little moments like this where they showed they actually did their research to stick to established canon really meant a lot. In Season 18, Duck got another spotlight episode called Duck and the Slip Coaches, and this time we got a flashback sequence for the first time ever. They showed footage of Duck working on the Great Western Railway. We learned he didn't always work at Paddington. Sometime afterwards, he worked on a line that was nicknamed the Sunshine Line, where he hauled a rake of slip coaches.
Those days, I used to pull slip coaches. Coaches which could be uncoupled without even stopping.
The fact we got a little more backstory for Duck back then, at the time this relatively unknown secondary reoccurring character, even the main characters like Emily didn't get these. They wanted to use these characters in a meaningful way in the modern show, and they used this opportunity to fill in some of those gaps of time before Sodor. It's dumb how Sir Topham Hatt hears about slip coaches that night. Somehow next morning he has them. How do you find them? How did they get delivered so quickly? They just so happen to be the exact 3 that worked with Duck all those years ago.
The slip coaches were overjoyed to see their old friend Duck.
Hello, Duck. Hello, Slippies.
Now Duck has a rake of slip coaches that are exclusive to him. and every time we see him on his line after this, he's pulling them. They were super consistent with this. This is something I really love about the CGI series. Duck consistently kept up his appearances in the show until it ended, getting at least one appearance in each season following. And even when the show entered the dreaded Big World Big Adventures era, Duck still managed to seep through the cracks and show up. Duck even got a spotlight episode in this era, which was School of Duck. This was when Duck was trying to find use for an old, dilapidated coach instead of letting it rot away in a scrapyard. Duck was paired up with Oliver, even in the CGI series, as they work on the same line.
That engine? I have no idea what she was talking about.
Me neither.
Dependable partners as ever, such as when they worked together to get everyone home before a storm hit the island in Season 20. In Season 18, Duck was paired up with James twice. James and Duck are the main characters of 2 episodes in Season 18. They're characters that conflict with each other a little bit. James is flamboyant and tends to not listen to reason, and Duck is all about logic and reason and doing things the proper way, but these two in a room and chaos ensues. In Season 20, Duck interacted with Skiff a lot. Skiff worked at a harbor on Duck's branch line near the sea. Flashback to Season 3, the season that featured Duck the most, and I think he only says the word Great Western once the entire season.
I'm Great Western, and I...
Quack, quack, quack.
What?
He also said Great Western in Season 2. Where areas here, it's quite more on the nose.
You know, days like today remind me of summers back on the Great Western Railway.
You never hear such a noise on the Great Western.
There's only 2 ways to do things, Thomas.
The Great Western Way and the wrong way.
It just goes to show there really are only 2 ways of doing things. The wrong way or the Great Western Way. There are 2 ways of doing things, Oliver. The Great Western Way and the wrong way. I know.
We never got any episodes with Duck and Diesel in the CGI series. They never talk about Duck's interest in the sea ever in the CGI era. We never get any Duck and Percy moments either. The fact he was in the CGI era was wow. Duck really was treated well in all eras of this franchise. It's clear the writers all understand Duck is a special character. You'll never see Duck in a stupid story where he has to collect a giant bubble liquid container and take it to the clown show or whatever. There is this unspoken rule among all that Duck is a character that deserves some time taken with him. I currently have a Bachmann HO scale Duck that I got years ago, and he looks very realistic. I also have a GWR Pannier Tank short sleeve shirt that I wear in the summertime. I will get an 00 scale Pannier Tank someday when the tariffs go away as well. Thank you all for watching. I explained everything there is to know about Duck, including his basis and history, and I will do some more Thomas and Friends Characters Explained videos. But now, I am also going to start doing some videos on the real true stories of Thomas and Friends episodes. The first one I'll do is the Montparnasse derailment of October 22nd, 1895, which is the real true story of Season 5 of Better View for Gordon. And then I think I will do a video on Donald and Douglas or Oliver. Look forward to the real true stories of Thomas episode series and my new upcoming motor vehicle parody, Top Gun Miles Motor Vehicles 2001. And I will see you all next time. Bye everyone!